If I could wave a magic wand and just give you 10 hours this week, 10 hours extra, no strings attached, would you take them? Well, the truth is that you can have them, but not because you suddenly work faster or you become more time efficient or you found the perfect calendar or you got rid of all the people that are making demands on your life, but because you stopped wasting your attention and your energy on the things that drain you. So today, I am going to show you the 6 time maximizers that can free up your hours, give you back your energy and your headspace, and it starts immediately. These 6 time maximizers have remodeled, rechanged my entire life and helped me to become a time rich woman. My name is April Bragg, in case we're meeting for the very first time, and I am a clarity coach and I help gifted but overextended women, high capacity women, simplify their life and their business so that they can lead with clarity and they can live with freedom again and they can continue to grow and expand their life and their business without the fear of burnout. And this video that I'm doing is actually part of my Time Rich Woman series, Becoming the Time Rich Woman. And last week, I talked about the huge difference between time management versus time mastery, and why time management will always lead us down the path and always have us flirting with the danger of burnout. But time mastery is the attitude that we want to adopt so that we have that elusive but very attainable goal of time freedom. So we want to approach our lives as a time mastery skill that we develop versus a time management problem that we solve. So, I thought I would share with you 6 time maximizers that I have been practicing in my life for over a decade now. The top things that have given me back my time, that have made me into a woman that feels so time rich. My mother in law called me up not too long ago and says, I know you're really busy, but I just wanted to ask. I said, wait, I said, I'm never busy. And it was important for me to share that with her because the truth is that I truly am never busy. Now, I'm not saying that there's not busy moments, but that I have designed a life that doesn't feel busy, it feels blessed. So, that's what I'm talking about. Time mastery, because I believe time is something that can and should be mastered if we truly want to live fulfilling and meaningful lives. I have been thinking about this for so long that it has reshaped my thinking in so many different ways. And so I thought that you guys might enjoy hearing about the 6 time maximizers that I have in my life that I think if you adopt them in yours, they will bring you as much joy and an appreciable difference in your time as they have in mine. So let's just dive in. Stay tuned at the end, and I will tell you how you can, for free, become a time rich woman. All right. So, maximizer number one. And this is probably the biggest and the greatest. I'm giving it to you at the very, very first. That is nurture relationships before they need repair. I noticed a long time ago that maintaining a healthy relationship is way more time efficient than repairing an unhealthy one. And repairing an unhealthy relationship is probably more time efficient than giving up on it entirely and replacing it with a new relationship. I'm going to put a strong caveat here. So, maintaining a healthy relationship is more time efficient than fixing an unhealthy relationship. But taking the time to fix a struggling relationship is even more time efficient than replacing a broken relationship. It takes so much time, and energy. Just think about the sheer cost of going through a divorce. You lose half your money. You lose half your access to your kids. You lose half of your life. And if there's not a way to create a good relationship on the other side of it with that person, then it just stays a source of contention for as long as you have to deal with them, which is probably for the length of when you're co parenting. Now, so help me, I am not saying that divorce is never a good option. In fact, I did a short where I said, I'll tell you when divorce is the better option. Divorce is the better option when it is the more loving option. Some relationships are not loving to you or the other person. Like there are genuinely instances where this is not a viable situation. But those people know that divorce is not an easy way out, but it is the preferable choice than to live with the hell that they're going through right now because they already know that they have done all that they can do, and the other person is just not on board with it. Relationships that are unhealthy or exhausted or feel boring or humdrum can be revived and something beautiful can be recreated. Everybody I know who has chosen divorce and not regretted it would definitely say, even though it was the better option, it was not the easier option. But there's also all the people who know that if I would not have taken the time to invest in my hurting relationship, then it wouldn't have recovered. So, maintaining a healthy relationship is more time efficient than repairing an unhealthy relationship, but taking the time to repair a broken or hurt relationship or heal a relationship is often more time efficient than to replace it altogether. But just think of it like your car. Look, a regular oil change takes minutes. Engine breaking down, lots more time and money and stress. And then if we wreck it, then, there's the recovery and the healing that takes from that. It's even worse. So, one of the things that I teach my clients is how to come from a purpose, values, and priority mindset, and then actually identify the people that you want to give priority to in your life, and then how to calendarize that so that you keep it in the healthy maintenance zone. You keep it in a healthy space all the time with regular feedings of time, energy, and attention instead of going for so long that you have to make up time. You have to go on the big, take a step back. You have to um, enroll in expensive therapy, things like that. So think maintenance is worth the minutes that you invest in it. Okay. All right. So that's time maximizer number one. And when I look at my life, I realize that my best and healthiest relationships are because I am maintaining them. I'm maintaining them through regular contact. I'm not saying that all of them are daily contact. In fact, some of my friendships, it might only be monthly contact. But when I'm there, I'm present. Quantity is important to an extent, but quality, the presence of your presence, is so much more potent. All right, maximizer number two, master skills that pay dividends. Skill mastery saves enormous time in the long run. For example, here's some simple ones that you may not even be appreciating in your own life. Maybe you can cook without a recipe. Maybe you can speak without notes. Maybe you can handle tech without having to Google every step. Maybe you can do mental math with a calculator. I have saved so much time. I've caught so many mistakes because mental math. I grew up in the age where we weren't allowed to use a calculator, and I memorized my times tables, and I made my kids do the same thing, even though they grew up in the age of calculators and smartphones. And that's a huge time savings for them. They are always calculating math in their heads. What is a skill that you can master that will pay huge dividends in your life? Here's another skill that I decided to master when I started my coaching business. I decided to master sales. I'm like, sales is something that I have not even any experience in, but if I'm going to have a successful business, then I might as well master the skill, instead of struggling along in it. And so I made it my complete focus to master sales. What do the good people who sell with integrity, how do they sell without being nervous, without being fearful? And then after I mastered sales, then it dawned on me one day, well, you might as well master premium sales if you're going to master sales at all. And I am always a person that likes to be the top of her field, likes to be the expert in anything that I take on. I'm not a hobbyist too much. And so I decided if I'm going to be a coach, I want to be the best at what I do. And I want to be a premium coach. And so then I decided to master the skill of premium coaching so that I could charge higher prices so that I'd be a more valuable resource to people who were willing to pay more. Y'all, game changer. Huge. That is a time mastery skill when you make your time more valuable. And it's a skill that now, one of the most valuable things about my coaching is I teach my clients how to do that because your time truly should be and is your most valuable resource. And so we want to look at it through that lens. What is a skill that you have mastered that pays you huge dividends in time or money? Because it actually really doesn't matter. If it gives you back your time, you can use it to make more money. If it creates money for you, you can use that to buy back your time. I was talking to my brother recently about this, and I said, we pay with time until we can make enough money to buy all our time back. And he said, what? And I said, we pay with time until we can make enough money to earn our time back. And he immediately saw how he had been doing that, how he had started as an apprentice in his career. And then he became a master. And then he was paid for that mastery. And now he had more time freedom and he could even take that skill and launch a business with it or teach others how to do it. Teach others how to use that skill and it'd be even more valuable. And he would have more money to buy back his time. Master skills that pay dividends. Time maximizer number 2. Look for that in your life. Time maximizer number 3. Eliminate the unimportant and the unenjoyable. The greatest waste of our time is doing something that is neither important nor enjoyable. If it's neither, why is it even on your calendar? So, everything I do, I either figure out why is it important or I make it enjoyable. I say this as do what you love or love what you do. As in, there are going to be times when I am doing something that I don't know that it's necessarily important, but I do want to have a good time doing it. This is why I just do not have a problem with ending my day by watching some TV shows that I'm enjoying because, and I actually think it's important. I think it gives me a time, it gives me a rest of my brain. But I look at everything for how is this important or how can I make it enjoyable, and ideally both. So, for example, I don't mind cleaning my own house. There might come a time when I hire somebody to clean my house, but I enjoy having a clean house for me, not for somebody else. That's important to me. And I listen to a podcast while I'm doing it. So win-win. I love podcasts. That's my podcast time. And so I make it enjoyable and it's important because it's important to me. But everything in my life, from my business to the things that I do for enjoyment, take it through the lens of, is it important and or is it enjoyable? And can we make it both? This will have you looking at your life in such an incredible new way. I remember the day that I adopted this philosophy. I was listening to a podcast and a woman said, "You don't have to do anything you don't want to do." And she was my coach at the time. And I was like, what? What if that's true? Because that doesn't feel like it's true. It feels like there's a whole lot of things that I have to do and I don't enjoy doing them. And I was telling myself the story of, I have to, I have to do, I have to do. And she says, there is nothing you really have to do. Like you could just choose to do it or choose not to do it. And the principle there is that we get to own our choices. And that feels so much better than when we say we have to do something, it's like we are making ourselves a victim. But when we choose it intentionally, then it feels like we have ownership over it again. And then sometimes we can then say, and also, how can I enjoy it? So I decided I don't want to think that I'm a victim to anything in my life. I don't want to think that I am forced to do anything in my life. In fact, I kind of rebel anytime somebody says, you have to do this. And it's like, well, I'll show you. I don't have to do this. I will choose to do it instead. But so I tested it. Can this possibly be true? And that day, I remember I was dreading, I needed to drive my son to basketball practice. And it was about 45 minutes away. And I said, well, if I didn't have to do this, if I didn't do this, if I chose not to do this at all, what are my options? Number one, well, he doesn't go to basketball practice. Oh, I don't like that idea. I do want him to go to basketball practice because I know he enjoys it and I want that for him. I could ask my sister-in-law to drive him because her son is in the same basketball practice. And I'm like, yeah, that is an option. And actually, that's not even a terrible option. Maybe we would enjoy driving back and forth half the time. And then I thought about a second and I'm like, wait, what if there's a scenario where I actually want to do this? Just a second ago, I was saying I have to and I don't want to do it. But I'm like, what if there's a scenario where I actually do want to do this? And immediately I realized, oh my gosh, that kid is about to turn 15. He's about to get his permit and he's about to start driving for himself. My time with my son is so limited. And this 45 minutes that I thought was an obligation is actually one of the few opportunities I have left to connect with him. And immediately, what felt like a chore became a commitment that I wouldn't trade away for anything. That is the power of choosing your commitments. So I look now for how can I make anything that I say yes to by noticing its importance in my life or noticing its enjoyment in my life. And if it's not important, if it's not enjoyment, if I can't make a case, then I get rid of it. I just don't even see the benefit. So when you decide to fully eliminate the unimportant and the unenjoyable, then it causes you to decide, why is it important to me? How can I make it enjoyable? Why would I say yes to this if I don't see that it's important or that it's enjoyable? So it's always tying you back to your values and it's also making your life more enjoyable moment by moment. All right, so the greatest waste of time is doing what's neither important nor enjoyable. If it's neither important nor it's enjoyable, then why is it in your life or on your calendar? Either make it important, make it enjoyable, or give it up. That one shift alone can give you hours back a week. Maximizer number 4, choose your pursuit of happiness. Our time is ours to give to whatever we choose. There is the quote, in the Constitution. It says, "We hold these truths to be self-evident." I love this quote. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men, mankind, are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, out of all the things the founding fathers could have named in our founding document, the most important document, why did they choose life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? Well, life makes a lot of sense as soon as you think about it, as in we all have the right to life. If the Creator endowed us with breath, He gave us life. Who are we to take it away? Liberty. It's a belief that we have between ourselves and our Creator that He meant for us to be free, for us to have liberty of choice and liberty of decision. And then they chose pursuit of happiness. And that is because that is how we practice our liberty. We have the liberty of choice, the thing that we think will make us happy. Understanding that there is a maturity aspect here, as in what may make me happy in the future may require me doing something right now that I'm not totally excited about. So it's not that you have the right to happiness in every single moment. It's the pursuit of happiness, doing the things that you think will bring you future happiness. That is the benefit of delayed gratification and anticipation all in one. Our time is ours to give to whatever we choose. We are diminishing our agency, our free will choice, when we don't believe that. So that's what the phrase pursuit of happiness meant. You have the right to craft your life around what matters most to you, not just what others expect. Own that. Okay. Now, also, that puts it on you to balance the competing things. There's my happiness and there's my husband's happiness and my children's happiness. It's important that we understand that our pursuit of happiness does not have to come at the expense of somebody else's pursuit of happiness. Okay. So there's so much more I could say on that topic, but look for where you and your pursuit of happiness is aligned with somebody whose pursuit of happiness is important to you, instead of seeing those as in contention with each other. Maximizer number 5, believe there's always enough time for what matters most. It does not make sense to me. I who believe that I am created by a Creator on purpose, for purpose, with purpose, that there wouldn't be an abundance of time to accomplish that purpose. And so it's a matter of finding out what matters most and giving my best and fullest attention to those things. Understanding also that that Creator who is so wise and all-knowing will not expect me to be some robotic time management person who always uses my time most valuably and most perfectly aligned. No, we're humans. We get tired, we get worn out. The goal is not time efficiency, the goal is time mastery. So, this mindset that there's always enough time for what matters most will then train our brains to focus on our priorities and also to find unusual time efficiencies. If you believe you're always short on time, then your brain will only see scarcity. But if you believe there's always enough time, and if you believe there's always enough time for what matters most, then things that you've been saying, oh, it's probably not even possible, you'll start seeing as, but what if it is? Like immediately flip, but what if it is? If it's important, then what if it's possible? I had this happen with a client not too long ago. She was working 60, 80 hours a week in her business. And I started talking to her about business automation and how that would start giving her back time. And she says, yes, but you can't automate everything. And I could see that that was just a belief, and that was shutting out her seeing the possibilities of what you could automate. And so I just asked her, but what if you could? And she's like, what do you mean? I'm just like saying, what if it's possible to automate everything What would you like to automate? And so that immediately changed her from the focus of seeing you can't automate everything to asking the question, is there a way to automate this thing? Has somebody else done it? 3 days later, she's texting me. She goes, April, I don't know how much you weigh, but you are worth your weight in gold. I wasn't about to tell her that I was 20 pounds over what I wanted to weigh, but that's a lot of money in gold. She goes, I have found so many more ways to automate just by thinking, what if I can automate everything? That's what I'm talking about. Because I have been believing there's always enough time to do what matters most or for what matters most, then as soon as she presented me with an idea that was like, there's just not enough time, there's no way of doing this, my mind was already outside that viewpoint. And so I just asked the question, but what if there is? And then that helped her step outside the box and start finding ways to maximize time. So the belief came before the seeing. And then she was able to see and to do and to take action. But the belief has to come first. So start with the belief. There's always enough time for what matters most. Game changer. Hugest, best practice belief in my life. Maximizer number 6. Use the word no as your best time tool. Every no is actually saying yes to something better, something more important. So when my clients come to me, oftentimes they're saying, how can I say yes to this and squeeze it in? And I'm saying every yes is a no to something else. So that's where we start, but we actually flip it and understand a little bit further down the road that every no is actually a bigger yes to my highest priorities, to my highest values, to my best purpose, to my best life, to my best energy. So, how can I refine that? How can I say no to more so I can say yes to better? It is such a game changer. It is so fascinating. And it's so much fun because I've done this so many times. It's kind of fun to see them starting at like the guilt of, but how can I say no to this? And it's like, don't worry about that because we're going to get you so tied in and so confident. And the key to saying no without guilt is number one, being so confident about what your purpose, your priorities, and your values are. And then number two, getting more practice in. Because just being confident about that, you will still, if you're not used to saying no, the first few times you're going to feel a little bit guilty about saying no when technically you could have said yes. But we are signing up for the identity of becoming a time-rich woman, a woman whose every yes is a treasure and whose every no is a powerful boundary in her life. And so she does not say no out of guilt. She says no out of loving intention because she knows what she's creating in her life and it is bright and it is brilliant. And she's headed for that with sheer confidence. And so that is why I want you to see that could be your best time tool. So, saying no does not make you unkind. It makes you intentional. It makes you a high steward of your time, your energy, and your calling. All right, these 6 time maximizers, let me run through them one more time. Maximizer number 1, nurture your relationships before they need repair. Maximizer number 2, master skills that pay dividends. Number 3, eliminate the unimportant and the unenjoyable. Number 4, choose your personal pursuit of happiness. Number 5, believe there's always enough time for what matters most. And number 6, use no as your best time tool. When you start implementing these in your life, you will gain back hours in your week, and you will become the time rich woman. And if this has helped you see time differently, then imagine what could happen if we put it all together. So that is what I am doing in the workshop that I'm hosting in just a couple of weeks, the free workshop, Become a Time Rich Woman. So you'll learn my time rich method, the 3 steps, and then you will leave with a personal plan for owning your own time, valuing it, and then enjoying it every single day. The link to join is at aprilbragg.com/time. It'll also be in the description. And if this is an area of your life that you would like mastery in, time mastery, then I invite you to join us in the Become a Time Rich Woman workshop. And stay tuned. Next week, we will be doing another video on the Time Rich Woman series. Talk to you then. Bye bye.